Okay. So now in the first part, whatever we did, we defined the physical quantities at the start, and that physical quantities were later divided into two types depending upon which quantities were dependent and which quantities were independent. So now we are going to again divide the physical quantities, but this time we are going to study the physical quantities based upon magnitude and direction. Yes, you want to ask something? Okay. So, yeah, Arav, you know which are these quantities?
Yes, sir. Scalar and vector.
Okay, fine. Means as per Arav, we are going to study now some called as scalars and vectors. Yes, still we are going with the first chapter. Now the last part of the chapter. Now, whenever I deal with scalars, they are those which are having only what? Hasine?
Sir, magnitude.
Okay. Do you have any examples?
Scalars, we can take it as speed,
Okay, speed or
and volume,
okay, speed, volume,
mass.
mass. Okay, fine. Chalo, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So we have certain examples out of which I have listed few of them as your distance, speed, work, energy, power, pressure. So all these were related to our scalars. Now at the same time, when we deal with vectors, so Shivesh, as per you, what are vectors?
So vector means in which the direction also are there.
What we have?
Direction.
Acha, direction means there will be magnitude and there will be direction as well.
Yes, sir.
And can you list one or two example?
Sir, a car moving in circular road.
Okay, so that will be an example. Like I need the physical quantity in example.
So for that we can take
Yeah. Anyone?
pendulum.
No, I am asking physical quantity. As if we have a distance, speed, work, energy. These are quantities. In that sense. No idea?
No, sir.
Okay, chalo, not a problem. Yeah, Devshri.
So am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Tell me few of the
So
examples.
some examples can be acceleration, then velocity,
Okay, then
and weight.
okay, good.
Uh,
Then
then sir, I can't recall anymore.
chalo, not a problem. Thanks a lot for
Thank
those
you,
things.
sir.
Yeah. So I can list some of them. Displacement, as she said, there is velocity, acceleration. We have force, we have torque, momentum. So there are many examples related to that. So those quantities which are dependent with their magnitude and direction can be referred to as your vectors. So chalo, this is not necessary for us. This is just an introduction. But moving further, scalars we already know in maths also we usually do calculations, addition, subtraction, multiplications. So that's fine. But we need to define certain vectors. We need to define them. We need to study them. We need to study their vector algebra. So for proceeding with vectors, first of all, we need to learn how to represent them. Now, while dealing with IGSO lecture, I define them, but I know all were not in the IGSO lectures. So still, I'm just giving a small recall of that for the other kids. So whenever I define vector, suppose if I want to represent it, if I'm moving from point A to point B, so now this particular representation is called as diagrammatic representation. But if in terms of mathematical form, I need to represent this, I can write it as AB with an arrow on its head, or else AB with a bar. So this is its representation. Now the arrow which is being made at the top of AB, it is not showing the direction of a vector. Means it is not like that the vector is moving towards right. This arrow is just to tell us that it is a vector quantity. So the use of arrow is just representing it as a vector quantity. That's it, nothing else. Now, but as we had in the definition that your vectors has magnitude as well as direction. So direction, so I got that it is towards right. From the arrow I can identify. But what about the magnitude? So if I want to check the magnitude, means obviously it will be the length of this particular vector. Now if I'm taking length of this vector, so I need to represent that length also. So whenever I need to represent the magnitude of a vector, I need use something called as modulus, mod operator. So whenever I use a mod, that means I am representing its magnitude. So as along the vector, if I draw some modulus sign, it is also called as absolute value in maths. So that mod actually represents the magnitude of it, the length of it. Is this much part clear? Okay, so Karthik, they have made arrow in the module because that is like being typed by software. Usually it is represented in both the forms, so not a problem. You can even use an arrow, because when you actually write it down, you never draw an arrow, as it takes a time. To save time, we just put a bar on its head. So both the way we know. Okay, so it was just a simple thing. I'm just proceeding further. Now there are certain types of vectors. Now the first type to define is called as zero vector. Just a minute. Yeah, Kushal.
Sir, AB with an arrow is a mathematical expression.
Yeah, it's a mathematical representation for a vector.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so first is your zero vector. So whenever we talk about zero vector, as the name indicates, the magnitude will be zero. And to represent, we may write it as zero with a bar or zero with an arrow. It is also called as null vector. Yeah, Jaini, you are correct. We also called it as a null vector. Now, where we basically use this zero vectors, these zero vectors are more specifically used in your mathematical equations. Whenever we write some vector equations, we use this zero. As if we know in maths, if I write 3 minus 3, 3 minus 3 equal to 0. Similar way, in vector, if I write a vector minus b vector or a vector plus b vector, and if I equate that vector as 0, I need to write it as 0 vector. So your zero vector is usually used to represent some equations. So anyone have any doubt for zero vector? As if I can give one more example, that in case of circular motion, the displacement is 0. So in that case, I can say the displacement vector is equal to a zero vector, because the magnitude is 0. Yeah, Shreya.
So actually my network is quite
Hmm.
slow, so I wanted to just get a glimpse of the previous slide
Acha,
as well
previous
as
slide. Okay.
yeah, and the in the current slide I cannot see anything.
Okay. Actually, the last slide, it was just like I explained about the vectors and how a vector is being represented, as if I gave in IGSO also, that how a
Yeah.
vector is represented with AB with an arrow and the magnitude is represented by modulus.
Okay.
Okay.
So actually I heard it all, but I was not able to note it because I was not able to see anything.
Okay, okay, not a problem. So it's same,
And
it's
in
nothing
this
different.
slide, I can just read the last line, that is 0 vector and magnitude is 0. Nothing after that.
Acha, it is represented as 0 bar, you cannot see.
No, I'll just note it down. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
And the previous slide, so for
Okay,
just a
okay.
minute.
Cool, okay. Yeah, Shaurya. Yeah, Shaurya.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please show the previous slide? I got disconnected.
Acha, I'll just explain this particular section. Then I'll just for a minute, I will just show the previous slide. Will that be okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so the first type was your zero vector. I'm just moving ahead. The next type is called as unit vector. Now from the word unit, unit means the magnitude is 1. Again, this thing was also explained in IGSO section. So those who attended. For the others who are totally new for it, they can just remember whenever I say unit, the word unit means 1. So unit vector means its magnitude is 1. So whenever I define unit vectors, it is represented specifically as with an arrow. No, it is not represented by an arrow. It will be represented by a cap. So if I put an arrow, it is the normal vector. But specifically, if it is a cap on its head, it is called as a unit vector. Means by default, looking at the cap, you can say the magnitude of it is 1. So now where this unit vector will be used? So if I say magnitude is 1 for a vector, means it should have some definition, a formula. So by definition, I can say to make any number as 1, any value as 1, suppose if I have value 5, and if I need to make that value 5 as 1, I will divide 5 by 5, value will become 1. So whenever a number is divided by itself, the value becomes 1. That means in a particular vector, so whenever I write a vector, that vector has magnitude and direction. And if its magnitude is divided by own magnitude, the value will become 1. That means your AB cap can be defined as a vector upon its own magnitude. So the vector already had some magnitude. It was divided by its own magnitude. Magnitude became 1 after cancellation, and you got the vector as AB cap. So this basically means the magnitude of AB cap is 1 because it was divided by its own magnitude. You can say magnitude is nothing but a number, a value of it. So this is basic definition that how to convert your unit vector. So just remember this formula because at the end of the chapter, we are going to use this formula in numericals. So remember this formula. Now, what is AB vector? What is magnitude? All that we will come across when we are doing the chapter. But remember this formula. A unit vector is vector upon its own magnitude. So it is represented by a cap. Yes, Sudhanshu, here also I use cap only. See, AB with a cap on itself. But basically, whenever we define this unit vectors, now what does that unit vector is actually going to mean? Now, unit vector, nothing but they have certain directions. Because magnitude is obviously 1. If I multiply some magnitude, different magnitude, suppose if I say if I multiply 6 with it, so I will get a new vector whose magnitude is 6 and direction is as per the unit vector. So I will get a new vector. At the same time, if I multiply, suppose magnitude as 10. So magnitude as 10 means 10 along with unit vector became a new vector which is in the direction of the given unit vector. Means using a unit vector, if you multiply any values to it, you will get new vectors every time in the same direction. This is the use of unit vectors. So my unit vectors are used to obtain new vectors by multiplying new magnitudes in the same direction. So by default, whenever we learn any position, whenever we learn about coordinate system, we learn the coordinate system or a position in terms of coordinates. So whenever we represent certain in coordinates, suppose in the graph paper we have studied about x and y axis. So same way, suppose if I take a horizontal plane, on that horizontal plane, if I draw an x-axis which is pointing towards you. So just imagine it is a 3D. You have kept a paper on the table. You made an x-axis which is pointing towards you. Make another axis y which is pointing towards right. Now make a third arrow which will be exactly perpendicular to the paper, which is called as your z-axis. So I got three mutually perpendicular axes. X was pointing towards you, Y was pointing towards right hand side, and Z was pointing exactly upwards. Am I audible clearly? Are there any issues you're facing with the audio? Others? Is my voice audible clearly or is it breaking? Okay. Are you just clear because the rest of them are saying that it's clear? If you have connected any audio device, just try to unplug and plug it again. Hopefully it gets clear. Okay, so everyone understood this degree, this. If anyone wants to represent x coordinates, yeah, Arham,
Sir,
yeah,
actually I didn't understood the use of unit vector.
use of unit vector. I said the unit vector, you can get your new vectors. Suppose simple example I will just give you. Suppose you want to travel from your home to your school. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you might be using some bus service to go from home to school. Yeah. Aram, you're getting my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay, don't unmute. I'll just don't mute yourself. Okay, so that I could ask you.
Accidentally.
Okay. Yeah, you're not a problem. So suppose that bus service is going to take you from home to school. So it has a fixed direction to go, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now you are the magnitude. You are the carrier.
Okay, sir.
So whenever you're going to go with the bus, it is going to always point you towards which direction? It is always going to point towards the school.
Yes.
So the unit vector job is also the same. It has a direction. Now, if one person is sitting, it will go in the same direction. Means magnitude is 1.
Yes, sir.
Suppose 3 more of your friends come and sit inside. So now the magnitude is 4.
Yes, sir.
So now you got a new vector whose magnitude is 4, but the direction is Same. Has the direction changed?
No, sir.
No. If suppose 3 more of your friend came, now it became 7. So what is the magnitude now?
Sir, the same. Oh, sorry, sir.
Magnitude became 7, but has the direction changed?
No, sir. No.
No. So see, every time what is happening? You're changing the magnitude, but is the direction changing?
No, sir.
No. So this is the job of unit vector. The unit vector is nothing but that bus driver. That bus service is unit vector,
Okay,
which
sir.
has a certain fixed direction. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So same way, if I want to go in the positive x direction, if I want to represent any magnitude in the x direction, I will have a certain fixed unit vector, because unit vector is nothing but like a bus driver, which I use the example for explaining him. Similarly, if I want to go in the direction of y, there will be some unit vector who is pointing in that direction. Similarly, if I want to go in the z direction, there also there will be something unit vector. So now if I just compare, so these 3 standard axes have their own unit vectors which are predefined, and this predefined unit vectors, if it is your positive x, we use as I cap. So see, there is a cap which states it is unit, and I cap is specifically used to represent positive x. If it is your negative x will be obviously in the opposite direction, in the other side of x. If I want to go in this direction, that will be minus I cap. Means instead of I, you will write minus I. So minus nothing but opposite direction. At the same time, if I want to define some directions with respect to y-axis, I will use j cap. Obviously, in the opposite direction, that will be minus j. Now for this, the opposite direction is nothing but towards the left, this way. So that will be minus j. At the same time, if I want to represent along your positive z, means vertically upward, that will be your k cap. So obviously, if I want to go in the negative z, that will be minus k cap. Now why I'm using this xyz? Because xyz are nothing but your reference positional axis with respect to what I can define the position in space for a 3-dimensional system. Now whenever we have this 3-dimensional system, now someone in the chat box told me about tensors. Now these are tensors. Tensors are nothing but a system where your vectors are being considered, or where the vectors are being measured or calculated. So they are the systems. They are not involved in the vectors or scalars. It is just a system which is consisting of vectors. So is it clear the meaning of unit vectors and your I cap, j cap, k cap? Now I am not at all defining how to represent a vector. That will come. That is one part of the chapter which we'll study later. Yeah, Kushal?
Sir, I didn't understand formula part.
Which wala?
The by definition unit vector.
Means you're talking about I cap, j cap, k cap, or the entire definition of unit vector?
The one which you circle, the part which you have circled.
Acha, this definition, na, like tell me, if I want to make 6, a number 6 as 1, with what number you will divide it? Yeah.
6.
Okay. If you have a number 15, with what number will you divide?
To get 1?
Huh?
15.
Okay. So same thing I did. So this particular numerator, what is written, that is having magnitude and direction both, right?
Yeah.
So I divided by its own magnitude. So if that vector had magnitude 6, with what you divided it? 6.
6.
And what value you got?
Yeah.
1. So that only I wrote. See, that
1.
is mod is 1. Understood the definition?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
welcome. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sir, can you just for a second show the last slide?
Yeah, I will just show. Okay, so Kushal is done. Arnav, you have any doubt?
Yes,
Arnav,
sir.
you
Yes,
have any
sir.
doubt?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
you have written AB cap. Sir,
Hmm.
can we write only A, simply A?
Yeah, that also we can write. Like small letters, capital letters, any way you can represent, not a problem. In the last example, I showed that A to B, na, so I'm writing here AB cap, nothing else.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So Arav, are you having any doubt? Arav, Ayush,
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
let me know. I'm just proceeding for the next slide. Arav, you want to ask anything? Okay. So I'm just showing the last slide once quickly for 1 minute. So those who haven't uh, written anything, just 1 minute. I'm going to change it. Yeah, you kindly rename yourself iPhone. I am not able to call you then. Okay, tell
Sorry,
me.
sir, I will rename.
Yeah, no problem. Just ask me what is your doubt.
Sir, can you please go to the next slide?
Okay, fine. Just a minute. Sorry, is it done? Okay, fine. Yeah,
Sir,
tell me.
in this unit vector, sir,
Hmm.
the formula is not applicable for the magnitude of 0, right?
No. I told not. See, when you define zero vector, that time it is just used to represent in certain equations, more specifically. Because when you're going to write a plus b plus c equal to 0, so on left hand side it is vector, so right hand side also it should be a vector.
Yes,
That
sir.
time we use this zero vector.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anirudh, torque is your rotating force. The force which allows an object to rotate about a fixed axis is your torque. Atharva, you want to ask something?
Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
that so this means officially can we say that unit vector is equal to AB vector upon AB vector?
AB vector upon its magnitude.
Means AB vector upon its magnitude, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it means no magnitude vector, no?
No,
In a
it has
denominator.
magnitude. No magnitude we cannot say. It has magnitude, but the value is 1. It has a value, so we cannot say it doesn't have any magnitude.
Sorry, denominator.
Yeah, in the denominator you're dividing by its value, no?
Yes, sir.
So when you say unit vector, it has value as 1. So it is having a magnitude, but the value is 1.
Yes, sir. Thank
So
you.
you cannot call it as that it doesn't have any magnitude.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Shreyas. Shreyas.
Sir, AB vector upon AB vector is 1 with no vector, or is it
AB vector upon AB vector is?
1?
AB vector upon AB vector will be a 1. That will be again a vector, but magnitude will be 1.
Sir, so will it have any direction?
It won't be having any direction.
Okay, so means it is simply 1.
Yeah, it will be simply 1.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just moving further. Aram, at the end, I will just show you the slide, not a problem, just a basic definition. So till this, is it clear? Now we had 3 types. Now unit vector in detail, how to represent any vector in terms of I cap, j cap, k cap, that I am going to explain when I am going to deal with unit vector in deep towards the end of the chapter. So before proceeding next, so after 3 types, we have a 4th type. which is sorry, after two types we have a third type which is called as equal vectors. Now name indicates equal. Equal means the magnitude and direction of the two vectors will be same. Now you can say two or more vectors, not a problem. Now diagrammatically I can just tell you, see this is your A vector, see this is your B vector. Now you can say both are having the direction towards right hand side, and even the length of the vectors are same. Nothing but the magnitude is also same, direction is also same. I can call your A vector and B vector as equal vector. And mathematically, if I want to write their relation, it will be represented as A vector equal to B vector. So always remember, in this case, if I'm writing A equals to B, that means both will have same magnitude and same direction. Both should be same. Only then you can directly write this as equation A equal to B, because vector has two things, and if two vectors are equal means both the things should be same. So wherever while reading, if you come across some equations like this, then you should make a point that both the same should be both the things should be same. Arav?
Yes, sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, if only magnitude or only direction is same, then
I will come to that. I'm just showing some of the vectors, in that your doubt will be clear.
okay, sir, thank you.
Yeah, Bhavin, I'm going to go for numericals, but before that we need to complete the content part, because there are no numericals based on that, whatever we learned till now. Okay, so the next type. Yeah, Vansh,
So that will be like vectors, right?
which one?
That only direction is same and
Yeah.
that magnitude is different.
Acha, you saw my slide, kya?
No, sir.
Vansh? So how come you know that after equal it comes like vector?
Sir, it is there in our module.
Acha, it's there in module. Okay, fine.
Sir, but zero vector and unit vectors are not there.
So I gave.
Okay,
I
sir,
just
thank you.
representing as well, because I don't believe in module.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, so next type is your like vectors, as Vansh made it clear, and even Ayush had that doubt. That like vectors are those which will have different magnitude but same direction. So you can say diagrammatically, if this is your A, this is your B. So I just made your B shorter than A. So in this case, you can say both are having towards right. So in that case, we can say it is your like vectors. So now how to represent that? Now simple thing we can say, now since the direction is same, I can say both are equal. But I cannot say exactly equal because the magnitude is not same. So in that case, we know that the magnitude might be having some relation. So for example, if I say that suppose A has a magnitude as 10 and B has a magnitude as 5. Simple example I'm taking. That means I can say my A is double of B. So the direction is same and the magnitude will have some relation. It can be double, triple, 1/3, 2/4, anything. So that relation between the magnitude with same direction is represented by some equation said as A equal to M times B. So see, they are equal. Means direction is same, but I have written some M over here. What is this M? M is the relation between its magnitude. So that is called as something scalar multiple. So whenever I say there is some relation between their magnitudes, if I say their magnitudes are different, that means there will be some relation between their magnitude, which is represented by something called as scalar multiple. Why I'm saying multiple? Because that is nothing but telling you that A might be double of B, A might be half of B, A might be 1/3 of B, anything. Means M is some type of constant, but that is specifically called as scalar multiple. Now again, just remember the term. Now whatever the terms are using in the slide are those terms which you will be using till you give your final JEE exams or NEET medical exams. These are those terms which will be helpful in physics and maths both. In physics, 75% of the chapters are based on your vectors applications, which will be there with you for the next 3 years. So just remember the terms which I'm using. If I say scalar multiple, that means it is relating that they are parallel. They are in the same direction. Is it clear? Yeah, M can be in the fraction. I said it can be half, 1/3, 2/3, anything. Yeah, Artana?
Sir, can M be negative?
That I will come to you. That I will come to you. Currently, I'm just taking that M is simple number, a relation. So I cannot say that I am minus double of you. Can I say in that form?
No, sir.
No. When I am relating some magnitude, it has to be always positive.
Positive.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So M can be any real number. So I will make it simple. M can be any real number. And M is showing the relation between the magnitude. So Kushal and the one who asked me about fractions. M is a real number which shows the relation between the magnitude. Okay. Similarly, as Artana asked, what if I have a negative magnitude? So we don't have a negative magnitude, but yes, we have something called as opposite directions. So in vectors, whenever anything is oppositely directed, it is always related by a minus sign. So in this case, the minus is not for magnitude. This minus is indicating that the direction is opposite. So the minus over here is related to your opposite direction. And your M is related for magnitude relation. Is it clear? Now again, your M can be a scalar multiple. That's the same, that is not going to change. Now M is any real number. It can be fraction, it can be decimal, it can be integer, and yeah, integer, but positive integer. So is this much part clear? Any confusion? Yeah, if I say that they are having same magnitude but opposite direction, I think so now it should be clear. If it is oppositely, means यहाँ पे सिर्फ क्या आएगा? There will be only a minus sign. Because in vectors, direction opposite is represented by a negative sign. So equal and opposite will have minus sign over here. A equal to minus B. That is called as equal and opposite. Is it clear, Sawmill? Is your doubt clear? Because that was specifically for you. Hasini, what is your doubt?
Sir, what if the magnitude is same and the direction is different? Then what do we call such vectors?
Dear, that only I said now, equal and opposite. It's equal but opposite. So the name is equal and opposite.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. So anyone having any doubt till this, till your 5 types? Yeah, Shaurya. Shaurya?
Clear.
Okay. Sure. Okay, fine. Atharva, you have any doubt?
Sir, for confirmation, M's value can also be in decimal also, no?
Yeah, M is a real number. Now you take anything. M is a positive real number. Now it can be fraction, it can be decimal, it can be anything.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so after these 5 types, I'm just proceeding further for the next. Yeah, Khushi? Khushi?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what doubt you have?
Sir, in the fifth type of vector, the arrow on the B should be on the other side, right?
So that only I defined when I was starting with the chapter in vectors. that the arrow at the head is not at all showing its direction. The arrow which is made at the top of B, it is just to show that it is a vector. That's it. That is not at all resembling its direction.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Okay. Arav, any doubt?
Sir, I had a doubt that can M be imaginary?
No, M cannot be imaginary. We are not dealing with any complex numbers here.
Okay, sir.
Only real. I'm saying only real.
Oh, okay. Sir.
Yeah. Physics is bit of practical, so we don't have to go for that.
Okay. Sir.
Yeah. Aditya, what doubt you have?
Sir, can you please show the previous slide for 2 seconds?
So I will just show at the end, don't worry. Now, even if you're missing any of the slide, you just proceed further. I'm going to share this entire thing with you all because the chapter is going to end today. Yeah, so I'm just moving for the next thing. Now, after the sixth is called as your parallel vectors. Now, see, same or different magnitude. Now, don't get confused between your parallel. Don't get confused between your equal, like. Parallel vectors, magnitude may or may not be same. Direction is always same. And under parallel vectors, we have equal and like. So under parallel, if the magnitude is exactly same, we call equal. If the magnitude is different, we call as like vectors. So don't get confused that parallel, equal and like are almost same. So parallel vectors are those which have same magnitude, but the same direction, but the magnitude may or may not be same. Under that, if magnitude is same, equal. If magnitude is different, like. So in general, I'm just giving the formula for it, that A will be MB, M as scalar. Now if M value is 1, it will be equal vectors. If M value is certain fraction, decimal or any other integer, they will be like vectors. So like and equal are part of your parallel vectors. Then we have something called as opposite vectors, in which again same see, magnitude may or may not be same, but direction is compulsory opposite. So under this, you will get two. One is called equal and opposite, other is called as unlike. Means the form of representation will be same. Means if M value is 1, A will be minus B, means it is equal and opposite vectors. If M value is some fraction or some number, means it is your unlike vectors. So under parallel vectors, you have equal and like. Under opposite vectors, you have equal and opposite and unlike vectors. Is it exactly clear? Any doubt, any confusion? So don't get confused between all the three. So I just made that all the 3 points as clear. And the last type of vectors is co-initial. From the word, it is initial. Means the vector should start from the same point. Is it clear? Now, Kushal?
Yes.
Kushal, M can never be negative. I said M is a number, magnitude relation. Minus sign in vectors is just to represent the direction. If minus is present, means oppositely directed. If minus is not there, means same direction.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. So is it clear for co-initial vectors, all the 8 types? So again, I'm repeating, under parallel vectors, you will have like and equal. Under opposite vectors, you will have equal and opposite and unlike vectors. It depends all upon the value of M. If M is 1, equal, M is some value like. For opposite, if M is 1, it will be equal and opposite. If M is some value other than 1, it will be unlike. Should I proceed further? Sudhanshu, I will come to that point, don't worry. Anyone, any doubt? Yeah, Arnav? Arnav? I'm not able to unmute you. Arnav? Arav?
Yes, sir. So can you hear me?
Yeah, Arnav, I can hear you now. Tell me.
Sir, what is the difference between position vectors and co-initial vectors?
I will come to that point. Don't worry, I will come to that. Position vector, that term will be explained to you in a while.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, so co-initial means the vectors will be having same starting point. So we call them as co-initial. Yeah, Riddhi, is it clear? Co-initial means the vectors are starting from the same point. Or you can say the tail of the vectors are same. Yeah, Arav?
Sir, I had a doubt that we put minus to make the direction same in opposite vector. No, sir.
Huh. You can write b as minus b, it will become plus then.
Yes.
But that will be along with the vector only.
Okay.
So any other doubt, should I proceed further? Displacement vectors are nothing but vectors which are going to displace you from one point to another. Position vectors. Yeah, so now after this, now next section of the chapter is something called as addition of vectors. Yeah, Arnav, it's for you. So as I said, we need to do some arithmetic processes also with your vectors. So when we study about scalars, when we study about numbers, we know how to add them, how to subtract them. We know the process. But when you have vectors with you, there is something called as addition of vectors which we need to go on. Yes, Bhavin, it's vector algebra. So whenever I use the word addition of vectors, just remember that means you're finding the resultant or effective value. So whenever we learn something called as addition of vectors, there is a word called as resultant or effective. Now, what does that mean? Suppose if I take an example of parallel vectors and we are going to apply the arithmetic or algebra of vectors to it. So whenever I take some parallel vectors, so suppose if I take example of a box, it is resting on a smooth surface. And I'm going to push this towards right hand side. Suppose if that vector is A, and chalo, if I take a value that I'm applying a force of 5 Newton to it. At the same time, there was another person who tried to push the box towards right, same direction, because it is parallel. So I'm applying the same direction force. And suppose that B vector, and my friend pushed that box, he was a bit weak. So he pushed the box with very less force, that was 3 Newton. So I being strong, pushed the box by 5 Newton, he was a bit weak, he pushed the box by 3 Newton. But later I found that the box moved further with a force of 8 Newton. Means the box didn't follow me, didn't follow my friend, but it followed the effective value of both of us, which was represented as R vector. So R vector was having a combined effect of A and B. That is called as resultant. So mathematically for this case, it was possible that 5 plus 3, you will get simple 8 because the direction is same. So I can write the equation as R magnitude was A magnitude plus B magnitude. So magnitude wise, the equation was r equal to a plus b. But whenever I talk about vector equation, so vector equation means my r was produced when a and b were applied, irrespective of their directions. Irrespective of their directions, I said that r was generated because of a and b. That is your vector addition. So vector addition will tell you that due to a and b, r was generated. Because of a and b, r was produced. A and b produce the resultant r. So whenever you write a vector addition, it will just tell you what are the combinations used. So a and b were combined to get the value as r. But in this example, we found that our mathematical equation, the magnitude wise and the vector wise, both equations were same. Both were same. But it's not compulsory. The meaning of both the thing is different. This is your mathematical equation. Mathematically, they were equal. This is your vector. So mathematically, we left that LHS equal to RHS. But when I say vector addition, a vector equation, that means A and B combined gave the effect as R irrespective of their direction. Yeah, Atharva?
So means as you said, the two persons are pushing the box in the right direction. So above 8, they will specify the right arrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens if they're pushing against it?
So that will be a new type. I just explain one by one type. So that point I will just come to you. Don't worry.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Kushal.
Sir, what does n represent?
What?
What does n represent?
Newton. That is force.
Okay.
5 Newton force, 3 Newton force.
Yes,
While
sir.
defining units, I gave this in Newton in
Yeah.
some of the questions. No, Karthik, it cannot be fractions. Vectors are not fractions. Vectors are your representations. Their magnitude might be have something fractions. And Somil, what is your doubt?
Sir, so I just had a doubt that in vectors it is not compulsory that LHS equals to RHS.
Yes, it is just telling you that RHS part is combined to give you LHS.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
that is just showing you the presentation that, yeah, these were the presented force and that produced this effective value. So
Okay, sir.
mathematically, LHS is not equal to RHS all the time.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is one. Now the second type, what if I take an example of some opposite vectors? Now take the same example, I took a box. I strongly push the box towards right with a force of 5 Newton. My friend pushed the box towards left with 3 Newton force. Now both were applying, so it is something type of your tug of war, where some opposite forces are applied. Now in this case, we found that the box started moving towards right because I was a bit strong. So a little bit it moved towards right. And that value was nothing but 2 Newton. So again in this, I found that mathematically, my R was A minus B. Mathematically. But when I represent vector addition, it will be represented as R is equal to A plus B. But since B was oppositely directed, exactly oppositely directed, I will represent specifically as minus B. So it is not A minus B directly. It should be A combined with minus B. Combined with minus B means since B was exactly opposite, I was able to use that minus sign in that. So that became my A minus B. So there is nothing called as subtraction of vectors. There is nothing called as subtraction. It is always your addition. Subtraction comes only when, because if it is your oppositely directed. Is it clear? Vansh?
Yes,
And
sir.
Arav? Yeah, first Arav, what is your doubt?
You said that long arrows are in here, so determines direction, or it is also just like a small
Magnitude also, since it was a long arrow, that means its magnitude is big, and this blue one is short arrow means its length is small.
No, sir, in vector addition case, you wrote a big arrow above B.
Where B? Acha, this one?
Sir, here. Sir, at bottom.
Acha, this one?
Yes, sir.
No, actually, I was just, when I was typing, so that arrow actually included that bracket also.
Okay, sir.
So it is just a word typing.
So it is same
that
as
software.
small arrow.
Yeah, it is smaller on Lily. It's just like word typing, which I did while making the presentation.
Okay, sir.
If the bracket was outside that operator, obviously that arrow will be small.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And Vansh, okay, Vansh doubt is also clear. Okay, so any other doubt? Should I proceed further? Any confusion between your vector addition and your arithmetic addition? Arithmetic nothing but your modulus or the mathematical addition. Vansh, you want to ask something? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Vansh.
So, yes, sir.
Yeah, Vansh, why are you getting unmute? Yeah, Vansh.
Hello.
Vansh.
Yes, sir. That you wrote two equations. R is equal to A plus B and R is equal to A plus minus B. So, sir, in these two equations, you have not mentioned the direction.
I mentioned the direction.
Sir,
See, the direction is specified. Whenever I wrote a minus, I told minus is always used to represent a direction, opposite direction. So specifically when I wrote minus
no,
B.
sir, the resultant vector, like for the first one, it was in the right hand side, and the second one is also in the right hand side.
Yeah. So that I wrote as A minus B, no? So when it was A minus B, see in this case, so it followed your A vector. If I would have written as B minus A, then it had been minus R.
Okay.
So it will be in the opposite direction.
Then the direction would be left hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
if we
depends
wrote
means
B minus A.
which statement you are considering, whether it is A minus B or it is minus B, B minus A.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay, so should I proceed further? So now these two things, these two types were simple to identify, but what if they are in the different directions? Now same direction was okay, opposite direction was also okay. We can calculate the value of R and its direction. But what if the direction is not same, direction is not opposite? So in that case, what to go for? So there we study something called as coplanar vectors. So many of you had some queries in the chat that there is one type called as coplanar vectors also. Yes, there are. That will come now. So whenever I say coplanar means lying in one plane. I'm just taking another example. Say I'm taking a box. I'm again pushing that box towards right. And my friend is pulling that box in some other direction. So now the direction is not same. So it is not going to follow my direction. It is not going to follow my friend's direction. But yes, it is going to follow some third direction. If it was same, I can add them directly numerically to get its value. If it is opposite, I can subtract them and get its value. But what if they are differently directed? How to get the value of that resultant? How to get the direction of that resultant? So that can be done by using two methods. So whenever I need to use or whenever I need to get the value of resultant, there are two laws which I need to follow. Now these two laws are just the representing law. Means two different perspectives of imagining the resultant. First imagination was made something called as triangle law. Nothing but he gave some statement that if two vectors are represented by two sides of a triangle taken in same order, then third side represents blah 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 the resultant. Like very big statement. But when I carefully see this statement wise, I just found that it just want to say that let us connect them tail head. What do you mean by tail and head? When I say head, head is nothing but your this particular thing of a vector. This is your tail of a vector. Means head means the end, tail means the start. So that way also you can define. So simple words, whatever this entire thing was written in statement form, I just converted to that as vectors to be connected head and tail. That means now this B vector, I will try to connect the tail of B to the head of A. That means the diagram will somehow look like this. Now I can shift the vectors anywhere on the plane because I'm not changing its magnitude, I'm not changing its direction. So parallelly I can move anywhere on the paper. So same way I moved my B vector such that the tail was getting connected to A. Now that represents two sides. Now this same thing I can tell you what the statement was trying to tell you. See, the statement had a word called as taken in same order. This was the meaning of this. See, it is the same order. Means if you're walking along A, then directly you can walk along B. It is the same thing. It is in the same order. That is the meaning of taken in same order. So whenever two vectors are given which are differently directed, the triangle or representation tells you that just connect the tail of one vector to the head of another. As you can see, you have a train. How the bogies of the train are connected? The end of first bogie is connected to the start of another bogie to get that flow, to get that one same order connection. That is the meaning. End of first connected to start of second. Yeah, Vansh.
So you cannot connect that end of A to the head of B.
I can connect. It is going to be the same.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Now in this case, as per the remaining statement, they tell us that then the third side represents. So which is the third side now? I have only one side which can be made. So basically when I talk about A and B, means if I started from point A, using A vector, I reach point B. Then using my B vector, I reached point C. Means initially I started from A, finally I reached at C. So what is my final displacement? That is A to C. So my final resultant vector is now third side. So there is a method to get. So is this much part clear? Am I audible to each and everyone? Yeah, Atharva.
So can I explain again because you got muted previously, that's why.
Okay. So in short, I can say again that suppose if I have two vectors which are different directions, so in those two vectors when applied to get me the resultant vector, the resultant magnitude and resultant direction, one way of representation is called as triangle law. And that triangle law states that two vectors are to be connected with head and tail. You can even connect the head of A to tail of B or head of B to tail of A, anyway. When you connect, you need to just complete the triangle. Once you complete the triangle, the third side represents the resultant. If anyone has a doubt that why can't I connect the tail of A to head of B, see, even that is possible. If this is your A, and if I connect your B to it, so suppose B is suppose like this. Somewhere like this, it is B. So see, again, the resultant is going to be same. It is not going to be different as the example was over here. So anyhow, you can connect. The resultant is not going to change. See, the rule is also not changing. I've taken your B and A in the same order. It is in the same order. Is it clear? This is your first method to represent. No, Kushal, you cannot apply Pythagoras theorem. Now, same way, if I go the second law, the second way of representation was something called as parallelogram law. Now, in that, there was some statement called as vectors A and B represent two sides of a parallelogram in magnitude and direction. Then there's some R is the diagonal of the parallelogram through their common point in magnitude and direction. So what about this statement now? Now again, how to connect? That is our main point. And in the entire statement, there's something use a word common point. There is a word called as common point, means I need to draw some co-initial vectors. That means I need to connect the vectors tail and tail. So that is the word of this meaning, common point. As if I had a word in triangle law, which was taken in same order, which told me that you need to connect head and tail. Similarly, there was a term called as common point in parallelogram law, which told us that they should be starting from the same point, tail, tail. You can also have head and head. Now, if I connect tail and tail, again, if I move B vector parallel on the entire plane, it will be connected in this form. Now, these became the two sides of a parallelogram. But I need a parallelogram, so I will complete a parallelogram law. Once I complete a parallelogram, they say that it is represented by a diagonal. So in this case, I can make two diagonals. This is also diagonal. This is also diagonal. But they specify the diagonal is passing through the same common point. Means I need to take this diagonal. That means this will be my final vector. So out of the two diagonals, I need to select that diagonal which is passing to the same common point. So see, just compare triangle law and parallelogram law. Nothing is different. Only the way of representing them is different, but the lengthwise and the direction wise, they are going to be the same. So I can represent them either by triangle law or by parallelogram law. The answer for R is going to remain same. Yeah, Tharva.
So what happens in a right angle triangle? The triangle law.
Can you just tell me, angles can be anything?
Yes, sir.
0 to 180 degree, you can get any angle.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes 90 degree, we will have a method. So suppose in general, if for any angle I get a formula. So can't I put the angle as 90 degree in that and get the answer?
So what happens if we apply Pythagoras theorem, sir?
No. Pythagoras is a specific way of method to solve. That is a shortcut trick to get.
Means for coplanar vectors.
Huh?
For coplanar vectors.
For coplanar, Pythagoras theorem is a shortcut method to get it. Because you know 90 degree hypotenuse is your right angle, because it is going to complete a triangle, and by Pythagoras you will get your answer. But is that your vector method? Is that your vector formula to get it? That is one of the mathematical operation which you use. A shortcut trick you use to find out.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Aditya. Aditya. Vanch. Try it up till this. I'm not able to unmute you, both of you. Yeah, so is it audible? There was bit of network issues. Is it audible now, guys? Okay. So anyone is having any doubt? Quickly, let us proceed further. Yeah, Vansh, what is your doubt?
Sir, I have two doubts. Sir, in coplanar vectors, so what will be the magnitude of resultant vector?
That we need to calculate. I'm just showing now how to represent it.
Yes, sir, and one more doubt. Sir, in the parallelogram law, sir, they have not mentioned where will be the head of that resultant vector. It may be inside that B and A vector.
No. They have given over here. It is passing through the same common point. Passing means it is starting from the same common point from where A
The
and B.
direction of resultant vector would be same like that B and A.
Yeah, it will be same as B and A.
Okay, sir, thank you.
If that at common point A and B are approaching, so your resultant is also approaching at that point.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Aditya.
Sir, could you please repeat the parallelogram law? I had a connection.
Achha, so for parallelogram law, you need to connect the tail and tail connection, because as per the statement what they have given, they're telling us that it should be passing to the same common point. So to make that common point, that means both should be same at the same starting point. So when I connected A and B from the same common point, nothing but tail and tail connection. After that, I need to complete a parallelogram. So I completed a parallelogram, and they're saying that the diagonal also should pass through the same common point. So there were two possible diagonals which we can make. So out of those two diagonals, I need to consider the diagonal which is passing through the same common point. Yeah, Aditya, is it now clear?
Sir, the angle of the diagonal is angle by sector, right? The angle by sector.
Aditya, your voice is not clear. There is a lot of disturbance around you. Can you try one more time?
Sir, the diagonal is the angle by sector, right?
The diagonal arrow?
Sir, the diagonal is the angle bisector, right?
No, diagonal is not the angle bisector. In parallelogram, the diagonal never bisects the angle. It happens only when it is a rhombus. In all the parallelograms, it never bisects.
Okay, sir.
Arham, what is your doubt?
Sir, what if two people pull in the same direction?
That will be directly addition of it. That was the case of parallel vectors.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah, Devshri.
Sir, who made these two laws?
Even I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I've
sir.
not went through the main theory of this, because it's not that important also.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so one last small thing we will do, so that at least the magnitude part, if it's done, so at least some of the questions you can solve from the module. So now in the module, they have directly given the formula for this resultant. I'm just showing you the method, how it was derived. I'm sorry if it takes more than 9 o'clock, like 2 or 3 minutes can be taken more. I'm just proceeding start the next part. If it's done, if it's clear. Now to find the resultant magnitude and direction. Now this was your A vector. I will assume it as OA. Now the another vector B vector, I will assume it as OB. So if I have two vectors, and see I'm using parallelogram law, because even if you use parallelogram or triangle, the representations are different, but the resultant was same. So I just like parallelogram, so I'm using parallelogram, nothing else. And it is just like whenever I say about the angle between two vectors, it should always be your co-initial or co-terminal. So it's better to use parallelogram law, because it becomes easy for us to define the angle between them. So if I have two vectors as represented as A vector and B vector. Yeah, Shaurya.
Sir, both the triangle law and parallelogram law are same only na, because in this parallelogram both the diagonals are equal only.
Parallelogram diagonals are equal?
No, sorry.
It's okay. Chalo. So if I have this two, then since the law states that it should be a parallelogram, then I will just try to complete the parallelogram in that case, and I will take that intersection as C. Resultant is the diagonal which is passing through the same common point, that became my R. Now these are the assumptions. Now magnitude wise, so I can measure the length and can directly say. But whenever we define the directions are always defined in terms of angles. Whenever, like you can say practically also, if I want to define some angles, I say it is 30 degree from west towards north, or 20 degree towards east from south. Like whenever I define certain directions, it is always defined in terms of some angles. Here also, if I take A vector as my reference, that it is moving towards right, it is moving towards east direction, I can say B is forming some angle theta towards north. Means B is having some direction, A is also having some direction, both are having some length also, so they are vectors. Similarly, R also I will just assume that with respect to east, with respect to A vector, let it form some angle called as alpha. So I'm using some generalized terms. So theta is the angle between your A vector and B vector, which will be known to us. A vector and B vector are also known to us. Now what to find? I need to find two things. One is what is R, other thing to find what is alpha. If R is known, means I know the length of OC. If alpha is known, means I know the direction. Means I know the magnitude and the direction of R. So at the end, I need to calculate R magnitude and I need to calculate the value of alpha. Is this much part clear? So two things I need to calculate. So any doubt in the diagram part? Yeah, Riddhi? Riddhi? Okay, so I started with OA vector as A vector, then we had D vector as OB. We completed the parallelogram, intersection was C, OC was my resultant R, and A was taken as towards east side. So B was making an angle theta towards north from east. So B had the direction, A also had the direction, the length defined their magnitude. Now I need to get the value of R. So length of R will become my magnitude of R, and the alpha angle is going to tell me the direction, that with respect to A, in which direction it is moving. So two things I need to calculate. Now to start with the calculation part, I'm just going to assume something. The assumptions are, let OA vector be A vector, OB vector be B vector, OC vector be C vector. R vector. Now all the time I'm not going to write it as mod OA, mod OB for magnitudes. So simple, I assume that let magnitude be equal to A, simple A. So simply A means it's its magnitude. Similarly, OB magnitude is represented as B, a simple B. Now I know that OB and AC are same because they are opposite sides of a parallelogram. So if they are the opposite sides of a parallelogram, that means the length should be same. So OB will be same as AC. So I can write AC as B. And I will assume OC magnitude as R. So I took A, B, R as the magnitudes. So I need to calculate the value of R. This I need to find out in terms of A and B. So first I will make, now look at the diagram, there will be certain things happening in the diagram. Look carefully the diagram. I'm going to extend your OA towards right. And I'm going to drop a perpendicular from C. And let that point be D. So is this construction okay? I extended your OA and I dropped a perpendicular from C and the angle made was 90 degree. So I named that point as D. Now if my BOA is theta, obviously this angle, what is CAD? Can that be theta? Because they are the corresponding angles, because my OB and AC were parallel. OB and AC were parallel. And this was the transversal. So I can say if this is theta, so this angle will also be theta. Now why I made this right angle triangle? The main reason was, since I need this R, and this R, if I consider as an hypotenuse, that will be easy for me to apply the Pythagoras theorem. So I made a right angle triangle. But when I made that right angle triangle, only one thing I was known, that was A. See the diagram carefully. I was knowing only this much length. Now, these two lengths are not known to me. I don't know what is CD. I don't know what is AD, which comes under this small triangle. But if I know CD and AD, then I can calculate R by Pythagoras theorem. So my first target will be to get the value of AD and CD. And that will be done by using something called as trigonometry. Now, what is your trigonometry? Even that I will tell you in short, that whenever I make some right angle triangles, in that right angle triangles, if I take some angles, suppose if I consider one of the angle as theta. Now, with respect to that, we can see there are three sides of a triangle. So if opposite to theta, the side, if I take it as opposite, adjacent to that, if I take as adjacent, and if I name this one as hypotenuse. If these three things are known, if there are three sides, I can take 6 ratios out of your three sides, like opposite by adjacent, adjacent by opposite, opposite by hypotenuse, or hypotenuse by opposite, and now hypotenuse by adjacent, adjacent by hypotenuse. So 6 are possible ratios. These are called as trigonometric ratios. Out of that, they are given certain names, but I need to use which one? I need to use that one which will have hypotenuse in it, because in that small triangle ADC, only B was known. So if hypotenuse is known, then the ratio which has hypotenuse is in it, first one is called as cos. So the ratio cos has hypotenuse in its formula, in its ratio, and that ratio is given as adjacent upon hypotenuse. So in trigonometry, cos theta is adjacent upon hypotenuse. Adjacent was AD, hypotenuse was B. So if I put the AC value as B, I can get the AD value as B cos theta. So the first question mark we got this value of AD as B cos theta. Is this much part clear? Similarly, the second trigonometric ratio which uses hypotenuse in it is your sin theta. The formula for sin theta, or the ratio of sin theta, is it takes a combination of opposite and hypotenuse. So in this diagram, theta is opposite to DC, hypotenuse is AC, the formula became CD by AC. So in that case, if I put AC as B, you got CD value as B sin theta. Is this much part clear? So now I know both the values. I know AD also, I know CD also, both the things. Any confusion till this? Now once I know AD and CD, now next job to find R. Now how to get R? In big triangle, apply your favorite theorem, which is called as Pythagoras theorem, because now I know all the data. But OD completely I don't know. OD I know as OA plus AD plus DC square This is your Pythagoras in the big triangle. OC I can write it as R, which I got from here. Your OA is A, your AD is over here, and your CD is over here. So all the data is available. So I need to just substitute over there. OA will be A plus B cos theta the whole square, and DC will become B sin theta. Everything we got in first and second data. After that, I need to apply the expansion of A plus B the whole square as A square plus B square plus 2AB. So which will become A square plus 2AB cos theta plus B square cos square. If I'm not wrong, because 2AB means that will be 2AB cos theta. And the last term B sin theta whole square, that is B square sin square. Now in the last two terms, we can see that B square is common in both the terms. So that can simplify to this form. If I take B square common, now they are telling us what is cos square plus sin square. In trigonometry, we relate cos square plus sin square as 1. So trigonometry has a relation between this. That cos square plus sin square is 1. So I got the answer as R square equal to A square. So see, I got the value of R. Now A value I know, B value I know, even cos theta value is known because that is a trigonometric ratio. And trigonometric ratio of standard angles are known to us. We have a table for it in which I need to directly substitute the value of it. Simple example, cos of 60 is equal to half. So if I give angle as 60, I can directly put cos 60 as half from the trigonometric table. So that is the formula for your magnitude, how you derive. Now this formula is directly given in the module. Is this one clear? Any confusion? Now the second thing I need to find out was direction, and direction was given as angle alpha. Now this alpha, again I am going to target the same triangle. But again, if I take triangle ODC, I cannot use your R. I cannot use the hypotenuse because that is not given in the given data. Your given data tells us only about A, B and theta. Means my final formula for angle should not have R in it. So in a right angle triangle, the ratio which doesn't have hypotenuse in it, which has only opposite and adjacent, that ratio is called as tan. So your tan alpha becomes opposite upon the adjacent side because I cannot use hypotenuse. So I'm using tan alpha. So in that, your CD value is already known. So CD we calculated as B sin theta. Here, your OA was also known, that OA value was your A. This is also given. And your AD is also known, which is B cos theta. If I just substitute them, see I got a formula. B sin theta upon A plus B cos theta. I got the angle alpha. So after solving this, whatever answer I will get for tan alpha, suppose if I get tan alpha value after calculation as 1. So when tan alpha is 1, from that table, I will get alpha is 45 degree. Because again, that trigonometric table has some values. If I got tan alpha by solving as root of 3, from the table, I will get when tan value is root 3, when alpha is 60 degree. So I got the value of alpha is 60. So this way you can calculate the value of angle and your magnitude, direction and magnitude. So as tan acts on your angle to give you a ratio, similarly, tan inverse acts on ratio to give you angle. That is called as inverse operator. So this is not 1 by tan. This is tan inverse. Tan inverse means that is acting on a fraction to give you angle. So tan inverse means inverse function of tan. It is not cot. 1 by tan alpha is cot alpha. I am shifting just the operator tan. So as tan acts on an angle to give you ratio, tan inverse acts on ratio to give you angle. As we say, 2 square is 4, but square root of 4 is 2. So that 2 and square and square root are the inverse functions. So if I apply square on 2, answer is 4. If I take square root of 4, answer is 2. So their square and square root are inverse functions. Similar way, when tan acts on an angle, it gives us a ratio. And when an inverse acts on a ratio, it gives us an angle. That is called as inverse trigonometric functions. Is it clear? Any doubt? Yeah, Arav.
So can you just explain me why we didn't took hypotenuse, sir?
Because hypotenuse was to be calculated, na? R.
Okay, sir. Sir, so basically, we are just finding the slope, no, sir?
No, we are not finding the slope.
No, sir.
No. Here you don't use the word slope and all here currently.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Atharva, what is it out?
So the value of cos theta will be given.
Yeah, that will be given.
Okay, sir. So it will be.
Yeah.
So would it be constant?
Yeah, they are constant. Standard angles. That table you already have.
So what's the value of cos theta then?
Yeah, that table you have cos 60, cos 30, cos 45, all that values you have already.
Okay, sir.
Directly you can on a Google, you can download that trigonometric table.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so any doubt? So those who don't have any doubt, they can leave the meeting because already I took 8 minutes more. Now there's still some part left in the next class. When that small portion we will just complete and do some few numericals based on that. Till then, good night. Thank you, everyone. Those who don't have any doubt, they can leave the meeting. Those who have any doubt, they can stay and there for next 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, Bhavin. Bhavin, can you hear me? No, Aram, there is no such chapter. Yeah, Kushal.
So that trigonometric table, we have to learn to write the answer, or they will give us the value?
No. That we need to remember because in maths also it is necessary. Just remember for 5 angles. There are 5 angles: 0, 30, 45, 60, and 90.
Okay, sir. Sir,
Okay,
and in the third and fourth, in the third and fourth part, do we have to add it, or what will be the proper answer?
No, that is the proper answer. See, the third part is telling you the magnitude, the formula for the magnitude, and the fourth part is telling you the angle, calculation for angle.
Of the alpha.
Yes, alpha is the angle, matlab the direction.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So in the third and fourth part, we are getting the magnitude and the direction.
Yeah, magnitude and direction, what we needed mathematically, the mathematical calculation.
Okay, sir. Sir, in the next lecture, can you show it with the triangle law also?
Triangle law, na, to do one thing, just this B in the diagram, you place over here and do the derivation. Is it going to differ?
Oh, yeah. Okay, sir.
It is same.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Shaurya, what is your doubt? Shaurya, you there? Okay, Bhavin, so inverse function you need, right? Inverse function are nothing but the inverse operator, you can say. Like when we talk about the trigonometric functions, they act on angles to give us the ratios. So if simple example, I say tan 30 is 1 by root 3. So your inverse operator acts on ratio to give you back the angle. Like tan inverse of 1 by root 3 is 30 degree. That is the only difference between a function and an inverse function. Yeah, Arav.
Sir, so we use tan theta here to find the angle theta because in this function, sir, all the values are known, no, sir?
Yeah, all the values are known to us. So directly we could get the answer.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So any other doubt, guys? Anyone? No, we cannot do Shaurya sine theta because sine has hypotenuse in it. R was not known to us. But suppose if you tell the question that don't get the value of magnitude, directly get me the value of angle, then in that case, what will you do? Yeah, Shaurya? Shaurya?
Hello.
Yeah, the same thing I just explained.
We can just do sine theta only because cos theta is just the opposite of it.
Who said? Who said cos theta is opposite of sine theta?
No, sir, means sine 0 equals to cos 90, like that.
Acha, in the table you are saying?
Yes, yes.
Acha, acha, okay.
And from cot theta, so tan theta we could get by dividing sine theta value and cos theta value.
Yeah. But why we need all that thing? I didn't understand.
No, sir, you told to learn the table. That's why.
Acha, for the table simplification. Okay. Thank you, Shaurya. Saumil, you want to ask anything?
Sir, please can you share the PDF, sir?
Yeah, I will.
So that sir, actually there are many things that I missed writing, so that I can copy it.
No, till this entirely I will just share. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Vidushi?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is your doubt?
Basically, parallelogram and triangular law are just two similar things if we just observe it. So why they have given two different theories?
That was two different perspectives of imagining the thing. One perspective was with respect to triangle, one perspective was with respect to parallelogram. Just two different perspectives for the same thing.
But what is the benefit of
nothing? No benefit. Like parallelogram law was beneficial because whenever you need to define the angle between two vectors, it is always co-initial. So parallelogram law was much more the simple way to calculate the resultant, the easiest way to represent. But in the triangle law, since it is your head and tail combination, you need to all the time do as 180 minus theta.
Yes.
At the angle and apply the cosine rule and all. So parallelogram law was much more easier to recognize.
So triangle law is the means complex and parallelogram.
Bit of complex, yeah. In bit of complex
concept.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Arham, you want to ask? Acha, you want to see all the slides?
First slide.
Okay, I'm just going to the first slide. Shaurya, we are just going to complete motion in one dimension tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Arham, this one? Arham, this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me once done.
Yes, sir. This one.